I am not lying. I am swearing on my aunt's grave and my uncle's that I did not do anything to fracture his skull, and I did not see anything.
The woman you see here pleading her innocence is Melissa Kalusinski, a daycare worker with a low verbal IQ. She was interrogated in connection with the tragic and suspicious death of 16-month-old Benjamin Kingen. In January 2009, young Benjamin tragically lost his life after being in daycare. Melissa quickly became the prime suspect, as she had been caring for Benjamin that day and was the last person to see him alive. The interrogation that followed was long and intense, designed to extract a confession. However, Melissa, due to her low verbal IQ and feeling intimidated by the officers, made critical missteps during questioning. This case stretched on for years, becoming a harrowing ordeal for Melissa. What began as a tragedy for Benjamin's family turned into a legal nightmare for her, until the police eventually realized that Melissa was not the true culprit.
Go ahead, just go through your
Well,
day.
I didn't get there till like 8:20. That's when I clocked in.
And who was there when you got there?
Wendy, she's the head teacher. These were other staff that were with that, because our kids before in the morning, we keep them all in one room.
Okay.
They were in the baby room, and then when we had like 13, we split them in half and then bring my kids with Wendy into our room.
Okay.
So, and when I got there, that's when we split them in half.
Is that like a required number? You can
Yeah.
only have so many kids in a room?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the maximum amount of kids?
For right now, for the toddlers, the infants, it would be infant toddlers. It would be like a ratio of 4 for one teacher.
All right. Okay. Go ahead. So you got there. These were the people there. You got
Yeah.
there about 8:20.
And then I helped get my kids into the room with Wendy. Wendy.
Kids. So it was you and Gwendy.
Yeah.
All right. And 8 children, including. What's the child's name? Ben. All right, go ahead.
And she was finishing up, and then I started writing down what they had for breakfast.
Gwendy was finishing up?
Yeah, she was finishing up, trying to get the rest of the kids and get everything together, bringing diapers and everything that we had in the other classrooms, that kids that weren't changed,
Okay.
that we would change them in our room.
So Gwendy would leave, come back with diapers.
Yeah,
So she
and
was
I
gone.
had help with my sister, and I was just writing that down, and what they had for breakfast, and then.
So when you get in there at 8:30, do they have breakfast immediately?
They had breakfast before I even get there.
Oh, okay.
So after that, we were playing with the kids.
What time was that now?
Around like 8:40.
Okay. Any of the kids?
We didn't notice anything at all. Everyone was happy playing.
Okay.
There was no sign of change.
Nobody was crying. Nobody. I'm just not talking
Yeah.
Ben, but anybody.
Nobody.
No issues. Okay. Nobody getting out of hand or. Okay.
And everything was going fine. And then once around like 9 o'clock, 9:15, we start doing early breaks for the ones that came early. Because Gwendy, she comes in the mornings at like 6:30, 6:45 to open. And then she goes on break at like 9:15. And then I have, there's another teacher that comes in there with me.
Okay. And who came in at 9 o'clock?
It was either a teacher, her name was Nancy. She's here Monday through Wednesday.
So Nancy was there Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay. So Nancy came in for the break? Yeah. And how long was Nancy in there?
An hour. So we just let them play, and then we have music playing too. So they dance and playing. And then me or Wendy, we do bubbles every so often too, because they like the bubbles. So.
Sure. Okay.
The questioning began with basic inquiries about the daycare workers' daily routines and schedules, allowing the officers to establish a clear timeline of events. Once the timeline was in place, the interrogation shifted focus, with the officers asking more pointed and specific questions about the incident that happened that day.
Nothing happened while Wendy was gone. Now 10 o'clock, she comes back, you guys do your lesson plans, and then what?
We play with kids.
Okay.
We do check the charts for diapers and see who needs diapers.
Okay.
Because we change diapers every 2 hours.
Okay. Do you recall anything at that point, Ben acting unusual or anything like that?
He was happy. He was
When you say happy, how old is he? 16?
15 months.
Okay, when you say he's happy, what do you mean?
He was just had a big smile on his face. He would crawl, and he was just getting used to like walking. So he wasn't walking that well yet.
Okay. Were you guys stay in the room, obviously?
Oh, yeah.
You're saying you didn't leave that entire time?
No.
Okay.
And then Nancy came back in to break me on my lunch. It was like 12:30, 1 o'clock. It was my usual break, but she came at 1 o'clock today, or that day. Wendy, but I actually punched out, and then I went back into my room. And usually we're allowed to do that. Sometimes because of the weather, we have a small lounge, so it's not big enough for everyone to eat. So there's 3 of us in the room, and I was kind of also a little bit helping them out.
How long were you out of the room?
Not even 5 minutes.
So 1 o'clock.
You already ate your lunch when the kids ate?
No,
Oh,
but
on your break,
like
is it?
sometimes we usually do that, but then when we're on our break, most of us clock out, and then either they start up their car, they go out to like the store or something, and then after that they come back in, and we're very quiet when we come back in.
So you came back in and the kids were still asleep?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is all around 1:30?
Yeah.
Did Nancy leave or did she stay?
She was still in there.
She's still there?
Yeah, she was helping out, and I was on my break.
So it was you, Nancy, and
And Wendy.
Okay. Then what?
We were just keeping an eye on the kids, pretty much, and we didn't leave until I was actually officially in the room.
Okay. So you come back in and then Nancy leaves?
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is 2 o'clock, and now the kids are awake or they're still asleep?
They're still asleep.
Okay. And what are you guys just watching them?
Yeah, we make sure they don't roll off their cots. And
Okay. And then what time did they start waking up?
after 2:30, I don't. Once they start waking up, we write down the times of when they woke up, and then generally, like it's usually usually one of the 2 that are still in cribs. They're usually the first ones. Pick them up. We take them out of the cribs or off the cots. And then-
Ben's not in the crib though, right?
No, he was on a cot.
Okay, and his twin sister?
She was on a cot.
Okay.
They were almost like right next to each other.
Okay.
We just turn on the lights if they're all up, and as long as the cats are all put away, we put everything away and put everything up, finish changing diapers, put up the blinds, turn the lights, and then we play some music, but other music instead of nap music.
And what was that about?
2:40, like 3 o'clock. 3:15 is when we fed them nap.
Okay. All right.
And again, there was no problem. Everyone ate all their food.
Okay.
And then as soon as they were done, we took them out, washed them down, make sure they were cleaned
Is
up.
it still in the same room?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was doing everything, and also Miss Nancy, she was keeping an eye on the kids too. I had my back turned against the wall, like where I could see and have a good, a view of everyone to make sure everything's okay as I was doing art with the kids. Actually, that day, I took Ben out from the chair. He was happy playing with his sister and a few other kids.
What show?
It's like not like a bouncer, almost. It's like those. It had like it was like almost a bouncer. I can't even explain it.
What was he doing? It was just sitting there?
It's his spot actually, and they pick on each other, and I was watching them and I was making sure he was doing absolutely great, nothing wrong, as again, and then sometimes in the day he will fall asleep, but we do keep him up because usually mom doesn't want him sleeping up at like 5 and we want to be having him more active and all the kids active so that by the time we move them next door, you know, they're not so like cranky and everything and crying and whining because there's younger babies in the room.
Okay.
About four, Nancy's like, well, it's okay if I can run the dishes and everything because we were making sure everything was fine. Everything was fine. She ran to the dishes in the kitchen. And after that, right after that, my sister Crystal heard the doors open. She heard. So she walked in, and then that's when everything started happening.
She heard what?
When she heard me open, you know, kind of outside the door and everything.
So Nancy walked out of the room for how long?
Like a sec, like not even, it was like half a second.
Okay, where did she go? She went
She went to the kitchen.
Okay.
The kitchen's right by
And you were in the room with the kids?
the kids.
Okay.
Over, and I was like looking back and forth where I can see all the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in his chair, and he was starting to fall asleep.
Okay.
I'm like, Ben, and he responded, and because I saw him move and his eyes opened. Like his eyes were squinting,
Okay.
and like when I would say Ben, you know, and like you just see his eyes opening a little bit. And then he would like, no sign of whatsoever, like I didn't notice anything, because I've seen how,
What do you mean no sign of
you know, like
He
him
wasn't
acting, no, like him acting any different.
any different
like,
than he normally
movement.
does? Okay.
And when I saw him again, I'm like, it was like not even like a second. Like it was like boom, like again.
According to initial autopsy findings, Benjamin's death was attributed to acute blunt force trauma to the head, indicating that the fatal injury occurred on the same day and resulted in a skull fracture. Typically, symptoms of head trauma can range from anywhere between nausea and headaches to loss of consciousness and even death. In some cases, it may also cause internal bleeding, with symptoms appearing days later, or subtle symptoms that gradually worsen over time and, if left untreated, can lead to devastating consequences. It would later be revealed that the symptoms Benjamin displayed on that day didn't entirely align with the diagnosis of an acute skull fracture. Now, this case presented numerous possibilities regarding what could have happened to Benjamin, but the detectives appeared to have already decided who the culprit was. What followed would only serve to make an already tragic situation far more devastating.
I was like, you know, trying to make sure he was awake, and I didn't want to move anything just in case, you know, if something did. And that's when Crystal.
What do you mean, just in case?
Well, like, if anything, you know, if he was sensitive, like, of anything, of some sort, because as soon as I went over there, like, when the door was gone, and then when Crystal heard me, and that's when Nancy walked out.
Where was Crystal? In the hallway?
She was by the front desk in the hallway.
And she could hear you all the way down the hall. How far is it?
Oh, not even. It was like the classroom where I went to go get my stuff. It was like, she was like right by the corner.
Did you ever talk to anybody on the phone?
Yeah.
Who?
I heard, it was Beth, I believe.
Did you go on the intercom? Is that what you did? Or?
I dialed.
Oh, you dialed?
Yeah.
What'd you dial?
To the front desk.
Okay.
And I told them that.
Is that like a 1, 2, 3 digit extension?
It was 2 digits.
2 digit?
And then
What's the extension number?
10.
10, okay.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, and I was like, can I get some more help? You know, he's starting to, I see foam and just stuff coming through his nose.
And who were you saying that to?
So came running in the room.
Okay.
I got all the kids away from there immediately. She had been put him on the changing table, and then like immediately did CPR right before Beth could even get on the phone and put him on.
Okay.
And we did everything, and at the time we did get a pulse, and he did have a heartbeat. He really did. And
You were there the
I
whole
was
time?
there.
Were you holding him or?
No,
Okay.
I was watching to make sure and making sure the kids weren't even near the kitchen area because he had vomit.
Okay.
And they used, I forgot the name of the container where they do the shock for little kids.
Defibrillator.
Didn't even say no shock required because he had a pulse and a heartbeat.
How did you know there was a problem, like when you first called his name? I mean, your
He was, we just tried waking him up and.
But you were by yourself, right?
For not even a sec, like 2 seconds.
But you looked at him and you called his name?
Yeah, first time. I didn't even take my eyes off of him.
And what happened when you called his name?
The first time his eyes opened and he was responding. Like a second later, he like closed his eyes and I was like, Ben, wake up, you know.
How far away were you from him at that time?
I would say from like here to like probably half of the door.
And then you said, Ben, wake up.
Yeah.
And what happened?
He didn't wake up and that's when.
Did you go over, what did you do?
I checked him and everything and tried to see if he would respond and then Crystal heard me.
Were you screaming for him to wake up? Or?
No, I was kind of like raising up, not yelling, but trying to like maybe see if he would hear me.
When did you see you said you saw some stuff coming out of his mouth or his nose?
No.
When did you see that?
When I got on the phone and Crystal picked him up. That's when I got on the phone and told Beth to come and Crystal even said that.
How far away were you? How far is the phone from where he was at?
From where I was at?
Suddenly, all the questions shifted squarely toward Melissa. It was as if the officers had already concluded her guilt and were now merely trying to piece together how she committed the crime. Unbeknownst to Melissa, what she desperately needed at that moment was a lawyer. Instead, she continued answering their questions, each response pulling her deeper into their web, leaving her increasingly entangled with every word she spoke.
Still in his chair, right?
Yeah.
And the phone, where's the phone?
It was like close to like,
How far is that?
I don't even know. It wasn't that far down. Like,
And Crystal was already in the room? Okay. And you could see stuff coming from his nose and his mouth?
not from the mouth, but the nose.
Just the nose. What did you see coming from his nose?
Like an orange red foam.
Yeah.
And then after that, when she was doing the mouth take care of everything, that's when the vomit was coming. And Monday though, he was sick. He didn't have a temperature.
When was that?
Monday.
Monday?
And we noticed me and Wendy, as soon as we got him up from the nap, he was clean. He was white and pale, and he was coughing. He didn't touch any of the snacks. He had pretzels, cheese, and juice. He didn't touch it, and Sandy and Beth were in there too on Monday, and they noticed that he didn't touch it, so I gave him oyster crackers. But before that, he spit up a little bit like liquidy, like just liquid, clear. He, when I transferred all the kids on Monday, I had him because, like, I held him, and I noticed, he wasn't feeling good. He was, after when Gwendy left, she even said, you don't look good. So I picked him up, he was resting on my shoulder, and, like, just hanging on to me. And not even, when I put the diapers and sheets on, he threw up all over me. Like, everything.
Did he come in Tuesday?
No. Because, yeah, when I left Monday, from what I heard, that he was, Mom came and got him, and not even, like, by the time she couldn't even get out of the door, they had to put him over the sink.
The investigating officers could have reasonably suspected, based on this information, that Benjamin was already experiencing underlying issues. Yet they chose to disregard these possibilities, blinded by their fixation on Melissa.
Well, part of what we do, Melissa, is we're with the Lake County Major Crimes Task Force, and we investigate homicides. All we do, and this is what we're trained for, and we have a medical staff on our team professional people that are certified to deal with children, adults, medical examiners, FBI, evidence technicians. We have a huge team, okay? The reason that we were called in this incident is because Ben's skull was fractured. We're sure that somebody did this to him. Or it's a medical certainty that somebody's done this to him. What we need to know right now is if this was done by accident or did somebody intentionally hurt them.
Yeah, I would never put my hands on it. I'd never put my hand on the child. And I've never taken my eyes off of it.
Because there's one thing to hurt someone intentionally, to grab them and throw them up against the wall or swing them into the wall where they would hit their head. But it's another thing if someone dropped them or they just try to discipline them and got out of control. But we need to get to the bottom of this because this could be a real serious thing. And if something ever was to be an accident, it's hard to say later after someone lied about a situation, because at the end of this investigation, we're going to get to the bottom of this, because this is all we're going to do. We have 40 people on our team. So we need to know the truth right from the get-go. Right now, every single person that works at your place is talking to 2 detectives. So we need to figure out possibly how his skull got fractured.
I wish I could tell you. I've never seen anybody put any of those children ever. I've been there.
When we were speaking with the medical examiner in this situation, this wound that he had on his head is something, medical certainty, that would have happened right away.
And there's definite medical scientific evidence, substantial. I mean, it's just not something with a tiny bruise. We're talking a skull fracture, and in a child, a skull fracture is far different than even an adult. As a child's skull, depending on the age, and he's 16 months old, is soft, not fully developed. So for a skull fracture to occur, it would have to be a substantial blow, and not just a tap. Now, that's not saying that could have been done accidentally, with a fall or some. Those situations do happen because there could be pre-existing conditions, other medical issues that we don't know about. I also, and the reason we talk to you a lot and ask you all these questions about you as an individual and sit here and spend a great deal of time with you is that we deal with pretty evil people. We deal with murderers. That's what we do for a living. So we can recognize evil people, we can recognize good people, okay? Somebody who's in the child care industry, very rarely are they going to be in there for malicious or evil purposes. They're there to do what? Take care of children and do good, and be what's called a caretaker, right? Definitely based, and that's why I was asking you kind of about your work history. This is something that's part of your career. You obviously are not an evil person, I can tell that.
What's truly bizarre is that the officers had already convinced themselves of Melissa's involvement. Their only uncertainty was whether the act had been intentional or accidental. It's important to add that X-rays played a significant role in this case, as they were instrumental in supporting the claim that Benjamin's skull was fractured. However, as it would later be revealed, the interrogating officers never actually had access to these X-rays. Furthermore, the X-rays indicated that Benjamin's head was oddly shaped, a detail that could have provided crucial context but was seemingly overlooked.
Here's a person that, under bad circumstances, bad timing, wrong place, wrong time, maybe indirectly have knowledge of something, but is compelled not to because they're scared. And I know, this is big. I mean, it really is. This is a 16-month-old baby. I mean, this is somebody's child. This is somebody who won't have a future. These are parents that will never see this child grow again. And in this situation, these are parents that are going to watch a twin sibling grow. And that alone is going to be painful because they're actually going to watch the twin of the child who's now dead grow up not knowing what that child's future would hold or anything. You know, so there are situations where evil people do evil things. You know that. Serial killers out there. You were a victim of sexual assault. So you understand personally, on a personal level, what intent and evil is. There are other people that, under bad circumstances, get into situations where you got to think back to before you maybe were even an adult, and the right thing was always to tell the truth. And the more you don't tell the truth, the further into that story starts getting more and more out of control until it's at a point where we can't control it anymore. All right? And then there's discrepancies in what you say, what they say, what you said, what actually happened. So the more this goes on, and the more we don't, the longer period of time that we don't uncover the truth, the worse it is for everybody, including you.
I would like to know.
Well, we want to know exactly what happened here. And we need to know from you what you know about this beyond what you told us. And I can tell you, and please, don't mistake, don't make a mistake and not tell us the truth. I said peaceful, so tell us exactly what happened. And you're a good person. Reach down inside yourself and help this family. For crying out loud, it's a baby who didn't have a chance. We need to bring some closure to this and figure out what happened here. What happened?
I don't even know. We were doing CPR and
Well, listen, the whole thing is when you talk about a certain crime or anything, it's a big word that comes up in court is intent. If someone intended on, if I go up and shoot George in the head, I intentionally probably try and kill him, because it would be pretty obvious that would lead to his death. Something happens on intent, then there's everyday accidents. People get in accidents every day, like in cars, and there's a car accident, and the result is somebody dies, but the person who gets into an accident with them doesn't get in trouble. You've heard that before, right? So that's what the law is about. The law is all about if someone intentionally tried to do something to somebody.
On purpose, maliciously. It wasn't like somebody woke up Wednesday morning and said, I'm going to drive the Mini Subi and I'm going to kill Ben.
yeah.
We don't believe that's what
I don't
happened.
believe that
And I don't
either.
believe you believe that.
No.
But we also believe that you know a lot more than you're telling us. And please, for your own sake.
I swear, there was no problem. The mom even said though, he does throw his fits, and he has a tantrum fits, and sometimes he'll throw himself on the ground and have a fit.
We know from this injury, we know for a fact that this injury could not have happened from him just merely falling from a standing position. That could not happen. It's already scientific. The medical examiner informed us that the onset of this injury that caused him to pass away happened relatively quick when he went to an unconscious state, because that's what caused him all of a sudden to go to sleep, like you said. We need to know what happened to put him in that position. Don't be scared to tell us the truth, because the truth is what helps people. But when people hide something, it makes them look guilty of something. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No,
You gotta come clean, because I have a good idea that you've seen what happened, or you were involved with what happened, because you were the only one in the room at the onset of this.
It was in that moment that Melissa realized the gravity of her situation. She was in deep trouble. Her nerves intensified as she continued to insist on her innocence, but her words seemed to fall on deaf ears.
Well, before everything happened, he called and went into his chair, and I didn't touch any of when he was at the time too, when he fell asleep and he was being unresponsive, I only took his arm and I went like this a little bit. I didn't touch his head, nothing. He was laying back on the chair, and that was when he was unresponsive. Nobody touched him at all. The kids, before he was unresponsive and everything, and after the kids left, Like his sister and a little boy was with them, and they were giggling, laughing, and I was
Right.
watching them.
A lot of the stuff that you say, like stuff like that, that lets us know, because what ended up happening when you have a fractured skull, you end up dying from basically your brain shuts down your body because your brain swells up. Something along that lines. I'm not a doctor, but just to explain it in layman's terms, we know for a fact, and it's a medical fact, that he would not have been able to eat his lunch, he wouldn't have been able to take his nap, he wouldn't be able to be giggling. So all this stuff had to happen right away when he went unconscious. So that's why we know it happened in that room at that time.
What do you think should happen to somebody who murders a child?
I really wouldn't know. Like,
Well, let me ask you, on the other hand, what do you think should happen to somebody who accidentally causes someone to die?
well, if it was like an accidental, like,
If it's an accident, they didn't mean for them
Yeah.
to die.
Right.
if, like
So-
really, it was like an accident.
It was very traumatic. It's a lot of guilt to live with for the rest of your life. It really is. And Sean is pointing out to you that we're not gonna just let this lie. And we firmly do believe that you either saw or somehow were connected to this injury.
While it's clear that not having a lawyer present was a significant mistake on Melissa's part, her biggest error came when she failed to ask for one, after realizing that the officers were determined to pin the blame on her. And this mistake would end up costing her dearly.
A lot of people, they talk when something like this happens, they talk to the police and they try to put up walls to distance themselves. But in the reality, it's hurting them because it would make somebody look more guilty that they intended on hurting this person.
I had nothing to do with it.
I don't think that you intended on hurting him.
I never put my hands on that pastor.
No. Well, we need to know what happened on that day. Because he just has a 16-month baby, Melissa. And I don't think you're definitely not a me person, but I have a son, and I swear to God, so many times I accidentally hit his head on stuff. Every time I walk through a frickin' door, I swear to God, I hit his head. My baby's 8 months old, so I know he hits his head back, hits a chair. There's always accidents. It doesn't make me a bad person at all. And if someone was supervising or accidentally hit his head with something, it's not going to make you a bad person, but we need to get to the bottom of this. It happens all.
I'm like trying to, but like the only person that was with me at the time before all this was Nancy, so you would probably get to talk to her more.
Well, someone's talking to her. Right?
Like every time I would change his diaper,
Yeah.
I like treat his head, make sure he doesn't hit
Sure.
the changing table.
Right.
So
And we know you're a good employee. We know there's never been no incidents with you in
I
the
never
past
had no
or complaints.
nothing.
So we're not saying that you're the type of person that would do this, but we need to know what happened to him. We really do. And I promise you that the truth is the best thing in this situation. You're a good person. I can tell that. If you weren't a good person, I wouldn't even want to talk to you because we have so much medical evidence in this case. But what I'm saying is, it happens every day. When you're dealing with kids, they're just rambunctious, they jump around, they're hard to control. But we have to let the parents know, we have to put some closure, we have to get to the bottom of this. If something happened, please let us know. Did you hit his head by accident with something?
No, nothing.
There's no.
Did somebody else hit his head with something?
You would probably maybe talk to Nancy sometimes because sometimes when she would pick him up, sometimes like and then put him on a chair or something, his head would hit the back of the chair. So that's the
This
only
is something
thing. He
for at
crawled,
least 10
yeah.
minutes before this happened.
And he was crawling and everything. He didn't run into anything. I swear. I was watching him and everything.
Would
I
you
had my
rather,
eyes-
did you ever, because I know as a parent that, you know, as being a policeman, I've encountered a lot of people that sometimes they lose control with the kid and they give them a little smack in the head. Was your sister in there before you were calling for help at all, Crystal? She wasn't?
Like when I called, when she came in, and then she put Ben on the changing table.
Was she in there prior to that incident when you called for help, when you said Ben, when you were screaming with your sister in the room?
No, she was not yet.
Would you cover up for your sister if she did hurt somebody?
No.
Okay. Even if it was an accident,
If it was me,
you would probably want
I
to
would
tell
have
the
say
truth
something.
so she wouldn't get in trouble, right? Someone like me, for instance, is watching a kid trying to take care of a kid, and I accidentally don't intend on the kid to die or get hurt, but something happens to the kid. It would be a logical person would probably think that maybe that person shouldn't get into that much trouble because they didn't intend on that to happen. So I don't want you to put up walls around yourself and try to, because you're scared, not tell us the truth, because in the long run it'll only hurt you, because it'll make it look like you're involved. But if it was an accident, she would have came out and told us right away. She told us she got scared at the time, she didn't know what to do, she's never been in a situation like this, and she told the detectives what happened. That's all.
I can't even imagine how he hit his head or who hit his head. Like, because, I mean, it's hard to, like, you know, I had my eyes on everybody, and I never, like, didn't do anything to him towards his head, nothing. But like I said, Nancy was in there. Maybe Nancy probably accidentally
Okay.
did something.
Okay. And that's what we're getting to, all right?
Yeah.
If Nancy did something, and you have knowledge of that, you're helping us, you're helping yourself, that's phenomenal. If Nancy did something inadvertently, and you feel that maybe a little guilty about not reporting it right away or not taking some kind of action, don't. You're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. It's not on you. You're not a doctor. But you need to tell us what you saw. And if it was Nancy, then we need to know that. That's very important. You're helping us. You're assisting us. That's going to benefit you, not just right now, but it's going to benefit you with your career and everything else that you came forward. But don't just speculate. You were there. You saw what happened. What happened? What happened?
Sometimes.
Not sometimes.
I know.
What happened yesterday? Wednesday. What happened Wednesday? What happened? You know something happened. You know something bad happened.
This is the point where Melissa begins to doubt everything. She's being coerced and manipulated into giving a confession about something she did not see and certainly did not do. For someone who isn't familiar with the pressure and tactics used in interrogation rooms, it's all too easy to fall into this trap.
Like, when Ben usually cries, I'm saying this, she probably did it, like,
Not
because
probably. We need exactly.
my back was turned, so she,
What did you hear?
I didn't, it was just
So where are you
With
recalling a
Nancy,
moment
but-
when your back was turned?
when, if Ben was crying, because I don't remember much, I'm still in shock, like,
Right.
Listen, you know you are, okay? Even worse than not telling the truth is half-truths, okay? It's half-truths. You know, you've got over this. Look, you're an adult, and you're a smart person. You're not stupid. You don't have memory loss. You're not in medical shock, okay? What you are is in denial, and you're thinking, I don't want to be here. I don't want to accept that this is happening. I don't want to accept that he's dead. I don't want to be anywhere. If you had a choice right now, you'd be as far away from us as possible in this whole situation. If you had a choice, you wouldn't have come into work Wednesday. You wouldn't have been there. But you know what? You were there. You were a victim of circumstance, right? So don't be an offender. You know what an offender is? That's a bad guy. Be a witness. Okay, we need to finish this today. We don't need you walking around a week from now, 2 weeks from now, looking at doubt, no closure. We don't need that. You don't need that. You can't possibly, and I'm a lot older than you cannot carry that burden of guilt. You can't do that. So you've got to tell us what you saw in great detail. Not possibly, not probably, because you know 100% we know what happened, but we need you to tell us. Tell us what happened.
Before everything happened, I was giving them a snack. I just used them, I cleaned them off and everything when they were all done. After I cleaned up Ben's hands and everything, I put him down, and he crawled. He was fine before all that. When I changed his diapers, like, he didn't hit his head or anything, and like, it's just questionable to me now if when Nancy held him, maybe if he threw a fit and hit like, ran into something to a point where he hit his head hard. I keep saying over and over, I made sure like he was safe.
I'm not doubting that.
I know.
I'm not doubting that. What I'm doubting is that you didn't see Nancy do something to him.
No, but every time she comes in, he cries. He doesn't really like her.
Did you see her do anything?
As far as I know.
Not as far as you know.
Don't protect
I
Nancy.
know I'm not
This
protecting
kid's
Nancy, but
dead. Did you ever see her do anything before? Ever?
like,
To a
pick
kid?
him up, no.
Smack a kid?
No, never.
Throw him
She
into a
just,
wall?
no,
Throw him in the crib?
no,
You didn't see her do anything to this kid?
I swear. I'm just maybe wondering if when she would hold him, that, she'd run into something, or when she would put him down, she didn't put him down nicely or gently to a point where he would
It's
hit
not
his
gonna,
heart.
this
I
injury
don't
isn't
know.
caused from something like
No.
that.
I know for a fact that I did not do anything. I did not see anything with my own eyes for him to even have a fractured skull like that.
We're the law.
Yeah, we
I
don't
understand.
care.
We don't give a shit what you told them.
I understand.
It's never
and
gonna make you look bad. You
I
might have been a
know.
little confused and shaken up yesterday. So whatever you told them, I don't want it to in any way affect what you're gonna tell us. Don't try to be consistent
No,
with what you told them.
I am. I'm swearing to you. I am not lying. I am swearing on my aunt's grave and my uncle's that I did not do anything to fracture his skull, and I did not see anything.
Did you talk to Nancy after this on the phone?
No, I gave her
outside
my
of work?
number. I gave her my number.
Did she call you?
No, she didn't. I told her to give me a call. She needs to. She never called me.
Okay. Did you ever see Nancy handle the kids roughly?
No, when she would put them down sometimes, she wouldn't support their head sometimes, and she would get a little intimidated and aggravated with the children. I never, ever would cover up for anybody, not even for a death.
If you did something that was an accident, though,
I would say something.
you're smart enough to know that you didn't mean to do it, right? If you lost your temper and maybe cracked someone, would you tell us?
Yeah.
You would? Have you ever thrown a kid against a wall?
No.
Have you ever hit a kid's head against anything? Never?
Never.
The officers relentlessly insinuated that Melissa had something to do with Benjamin's death, constantly pushing her to the brink. The interrogation went on for hours without a break. The pressure mounted so intensely that she began to lose her grip on reality. Overwhelmed by the stress, she eventually cracked.
Because I hope you understand, we're trying to give you every single opportunity there is. Every single opportunity there is to talk to us and clear the air on this thing and just put it to rest. So we can get on the phone, we can call our bosses in Lincolnshire and say, okay, Melissa's been straightforward with us. This is exactly what happened. Here's the timeline. We are convinced that this is what happened during this timeline. Bad people don't have a conscience. You know what I mean? The word sociopath or psychopath, it's one and the same. Those are people who have no emotions. They operate physically and mentally every day like normal people. You couldn't tell them, but inside they're dead. They have no feelings at all. You got upset, you have a conscience, right? You can express love, you can express hate. I'm sure you've got a love relationship with your boyfriend, your family. You probably love your sister. I think she got really worried and concerned about you leaving today. She loves you, okay? Do you need to carry a burden like this for the next 60 years or whatever? Nobody does. And you know what? It's this type of thing that eats you up, and it's this type of thing that no matter what haunts your reputation, because there's always a question mark.
I never took any frustration out on any of my kids, ever. I never laid a finger, nothing.
We're not saying.
I know.
Melissa, we're not saying anything. Okay, we're not saying that. We're saying that perhaps you put him in a chair a little too hard. I mean, he was struck, whatever. He might have hit his head on something. What you're describing to us did not happen.
We're thinking like something happened and doing it normally, everything would be fine. Like if George was a baby and I put him in a chair, he'd go in the chair, he'd go to sleep. But maybe on this instance, maybe the chair rocked back. There was a wall behind the chair. It rocked back and he tumbled back and hit his head on the ground. There was something that happened. And we know.
Where he was sitting and where I placed him, it was kind of by the changing table and the garbage can. And when I was taking him out, I probably, because I didn't stand behind him, I was on the side grabbing him, and he like chased probably his head on the back of the changing table. That's the side of the changing table. That's the only thing I can think of.
You would have known, you know exactly when the incident took place. You're making yourself look real bad. We're trying to think that you didn't intend on this injury to happen. You didn't intend on this to happen. But for whatever reason, it did happen. But you should be honest with us. What are you most afraid of? Just tell me about this whole situation.
That
Be honest.
that it could be my fault.
Okay.
I just don't know how.
Okay, but what are you most afraid of if it is your fault?
Everyone won't talk to me.
Who?
Their co-workers.
Co-workers? Why?
I just have a gut feeling it should be my fault. Ever since I got a piece of paper, I just felt like, what did I do wrong? And I've been trying to think thoroughly, and that's why I haven't been able to sleep much, because I'm trying to think, what did I do?
We need to know, but we need to know now. You're worried about your co-workers? Give me a fucking break. This kid's dead. Fuck your co-workers, okay?
And I took him out, and I watched him. He was at the edge, and I heard his head hit the back of the table, because I didn't fully put him down. It kind of almost slipped when I dropped him, and he hit the chair. And then I heard it. And he didn't. He was fine though, and I made sure that the
baby chair. Yeah. They have little straps in them.
he hit the back of it.
You hit the back of with his head. That's okay. It's all we've been trying to get from you for this whole time.
When you put him in the chair, were you holding him?
No, I
Okay.
just picked him up and
Where was he when you picked him up?
he was on the floor.
On the floor? And why did you pick him up?
Because I just wanted to put him in there and give him a snack right away.
Okay. Okay, so you put him in the chair to get him a snack,
Yeah,
and then when you picked him up, you dropped him.
it kind of slipped. Yeah.
You slipped.
Yeah.
Okay, and you hit his head on the back of the top part of the chair.
Yeah.
And then did he yell or scream?
No.
He didn't do anything?
Let me check his head. Yeah, it was fine.
Okay.
Did you slam him on the chair? You sure? You wouldn't do that? He just slipped in the back. His head hit the back of the chair. Why would he have some group? Did he hit the ground after that, or what happened after he hit the chair?
When I put him down, I took him out of the snack chair, and then I wiped him up, and then like, when I come back, the other chair is behind him. And I wasn't paying attention, and slipped out of my hands, and I had hit it.
How far did he slip?
Like, a little bit like what he said.
No, he was sitting at the snack table, right?
Yeah, regular
You
chair.
took him out of the snack.
When he was done, I took him out, washed him off, and everything else. And when I put him down, that's when I slipped. And it was right there between the tile and
Did
the
you
carpet.
slip, or did he slip out of your hand? Did you actually fall down with him?
Yeah, I did.
Did you drop him?
He slips. hits his head on the chair, and then he's on the floor.
He started crawling
Where did he crawl to?
to the other chair recliner to get his blanket and then to the spot.
And then after he got there, how long after that did you notice he was starting to kind of look sleepy?
5 minutes later.
Melissa Kalusinski was convicted in 2011 for the 2009 death of 16-month-old Benjamin Kingen and sentenced to 31 years in prison. However, based on the interrogation video and evidence, her conviction has been widely contested, with several factors leading many to believe in her innocence. There are several points supporting doubts about Melissa's involvement, the first one being coerced confession. You see, Melissa underwent a lengthy 9-hour interrogation without legal representation, during which she denied involvement at least 79 times. Under immense pressure, she eventually confessed, only to recant shortly thereafter. Experts on false confessions suggest that such coercive environments can lead to admissions of guilt from innocent individuals. The second one is disputed medical evidence. The prosecution's case hinged on the assertion that Benjamin was a healthy child who suffered a fatal skull fracture on the day of his death. However, defense experts presented evidence of a prior injury from October 2008, before Melissa's employment at the daycare. Witnesses noted signs of head trauma, including lethargy and frequent sleepiness, which could indicate an existing condition contributing to his death. Furthermore, in 2015, Lake County Coroner Thomas Rudd revealed that X-rays taken immediately after Benjamin's death did not show a skull fracture, contradicting earlier testimonies. Additionally, a key prosecution expert admitted to errors in the initial assessment, further undermining the case against Melissa. In June 2024, after serving over 15 years, Melissa was granted a clemency hearing before the Illinois Prisoner Review Board. During the hearing, her defense highlighted the aforementioned points, emphasizing the coerced confession and disputed medical evidence. Supporters, including her family and legal advocates, have been vocal about their belief in her innocence, urging for her release. It does feel like the tides are shifting, as if the justice system and the police are finally catching up to the possibility of a grave mistake. While it's encouraging to see progress, it's also heartbreaking to think of the years lost and the lives affected. If justice prevails now, it will be a bittersweet victory. What are your thoughts on this case? Share them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.